Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the last vlog of the week for Friday the 21st of August. I hope everybody is well and you've had a good day. Going to start off today. I was watching a vlog this morning from Pete the Trucker, ex-Pete the Courier. I'm sure you guys and girls all watch him as well, and he did a little one this morning about fuel cards and hidden charges on fuel cards. Now, I don't operate with a fuel card now. I did when I was a taxi driver, and it was quite a few years ago. I can't really remember the circumstances why I started using it. I think it was probably at a time of a recession, and any saving that you could make was worth it. So I had a garage that was very, very close to me. It was an Esso garage in Hornchurch that I filled up probably every other day with diesel for the cab. I can't remember, they did take a number of fuel cards, and I did take one of them. I can't remember which one it was, and you can say it was quite a while ago, and I'm not trying to dodge shaming anybody, but I generally can't remember. So yeah, that was the plan. I'm going to take on a fuel card, save myself a few pennies every time I fill up, and hopefully it would be worth doing. One of the first problems was I was used to paying for my fuel cash. Obviously, being a taxi driver, it was predominantly then cash take-ins. That's changed now and it's predominantly card take-ins, but back in the day it was predominantly cash. But that didn't matter, I used the card. First problem I found was obviously you got a monthly bill. So then you suddenly got somewhere in the region, probably about 600 to 700 pounds coming out of your account in one go. I did somewhere around about 150, 160 a week on fuel. Obviously one of the bonuses of a fuel card is its VAT. It's shown separately on there. But obviously being a taxi driver, you weren't registered for VAT, as VAT is not applicable on taxi fares. Then the problem started. I remember that I used to check the invoice when it came through. It was sent through by email, and some of the prices that I'd been charged didn't agree with the email that I'd been sent for that week. Fortunately, I'm a little bit anal when it comes to paperwork and keeping stuff. So I was able to do a check, and I think it was about 2 or 3 pence I'd been charged more than I should have been. Meant a phone call to the company, and like Pete mentioned today, yeah, it was difficult getting through to the right person and then making sure you had a credit. I then had a charge come through which wasn't mine. Correct petrol station. It showed the correct vehicle registration, but it wasn't mine. It was basically, I used to fill up every other day. So whereas I would probably used to fill up on a Sunday, Tuesday and a Thursday, I'd got a charge for Tuesday and the Thursday, but there was one for Wednesday in between. And I keep records. There's nothing in my diary about buying any fuel, and there would have been no reason I hadn't done any long job that needed me to fill up every day. So I raised the query with the card company. That took again about a week before it got resolved, and I just got an email saying, I'm not sure what's happened, there seems to be a system error, and we've credited your account. But it was another pain in the arse, to be honest. The other thing was the price creeps up. They give you a great price at the start, and the price keeps creeping up almost to the point where it's not worth using. And then on a Monday or Tuesday, I'm ringing up the card company saying, is this the best price you've got? Because it's not really worth using your system. And oh, sorry Paul, yeah, okay, we'll knock it down this week, and they take another 4 or 5 pence off. And it's a pain again in the backside, keep ringing up. I haven't got the time, I'm busy, I'm trying to drive a cab, I'm trying to save money, not be parked up making phone calls for people not doing their jobs. The final nail in the coffin was, I'd had it for about a year. Well, I must have had it for a year, and I got a letter through, an email through, telling me that the card was up for renewal because it's coming to the end of its year, and there was a charge of something like £45 plus VAT to renew the card. And it's just like anything I'm saving, I'm just losing in all these little add-ons and waste of time. So I just got rid of it. I said I'm not renewing it, cut the card up and went back to paying for my fuel by cash or card. That's not to say, of course, that things have changed. I think there's a lot of competition now on fuel cards. It was the big players back in the day. I see, I get the odd email, but it's mainly social media with people saying, oh, I can do you a great deal. I have no idea who these people are. And it's always the same. It's JS Fuel Systems Limited, you know, some part of their name, and I just can't be bothered. I do now. I've got that's my AdBlue going off. Sorry. I've got a BP that's close to me now, and I fill up at the BP. I do the same. I will fill up tonight, being the end of the week, and then I will probably fill up on a Tuesday evening when I've done my day's work, and a Thursday evening. And as I say, Friday at the end of the week. I use the BP points. I've got a BP card. It gets you points for everything that you use. I don't worry about it too much, but at the end of the year I've probably got somewhere in the region of £40 in points, and I just go and buy cleaning products for the van. I always need glass cleaner and general cleaner. Fabric cleaner needs occasionally, not very often, but yeah, so that's what I do now, and I don't worry with fuel cards. I really can't be bothered with it, and I'm definitely not going to get into a situation, for me personally, where I've got 3 or 4 cards and I'm checking each one to see what I need. For me, it just can't be bothered. Totally different when I was a transport manager and we had a fleet of trucks, 8 trucks, and we did European. We had a card called a UTA card that we got all our fuel, and they also did a thing where they got back the VAT in foreign countries for you, and because that makes a huge saving when your vehicle's only getting 8 miles to the gallon and you're doing 1,600 miles in a week back to Milan and back. It works out a lot of money, but for me as an owner driver, no interest. Right, on to today, and I Monday and Tuesday were good days. Wednesday was an average, just below average day. Thursday was a disaster. I don't know whether today's a bad day, a good day. I don't know. I can't decide. So, looking for work yesterday, there was a job came up on the system that looked good. 3 collections. I had the added benefit of my wife was working from home today, so I don't have to drop her at Colchester station. That meant I could start a little bit later if I wanted. It also meant that I don't have to worry about being back in Colchester for 6:30 or whatever to go and pick her up from the station. Normally I would go home and jump in the car and come and get her. So that was all good. So that gave me a little bit more leeway to do a good job or a couple of jobs. So this job came up. It was a 7:30 collection in Halstead. That's about 45 minutes. So add on picking my breakfast up in Greggs. That's an hour from home. So I'm not leaving much different to I am normally, a little bit later than I am normally. So 3 collections, 1 in Halstead, then a second collection in Witham, which is about 25 minutes away, and then a third collection down in West Horndon, which is more Brentwood, you would know it as. That's about 35-40 minutes away. It was a large van job. It was going in total 114 miles, that's everything, to Reading. Now I thought, I'm not too worried about the 7:30 collection, I'm used to that, that's fine. I started working out in my head, if I can get that on quite quickly, I could be down certainly in Witham and loaded in Witham by 8:30, and probably down and loaded in West Horndon by 9:30. Good chance I could get round to Reading for about 11, at worst 12 o'clock, and that gives me a great chance to get a second job. And I'm thinking I don't mind if Friday afternoon from Reading I do one straight into the central London, because then I'm thinking, well, I can drop in central London out the other side. I've got full permission to watch the first Premier League game of the season with a pizza and a beer on my lap, so I thought as long as I'm back for 7:45 for an 8 o'clock kickoff, all in the world is good. No idea what the goods were going to be. However, it's a shipper I've worked with before, and the second collection in Witham gave me an idea of what I thought some of the load would be, which is bespoke units. Never a problem. They're all very good at loading. So I put a price of £200 on the job. Now I think that's a good price. 3 collections doesn't really bother me. The 45 minutes to get to Howstead doesn't bother me. And on a mileage basis, you could get very excited. £200, 114 miles. So I'm happy with that. Good price. And I got a phone call straight away. The details came over. And again, there was nothing overly on there to worry about. It told me I was picking up in Howstead some kitchen worktops. Didn't tell me what I'm getting in Witham. I did tell you, I tell a lie. Witham was going to be some fixtures and fittings. No idea what I was getting in Brentwood, but I had again been there before, and I thought it was going to be some sort of printed material. Anyway, so I'm trying to keep this short. Got on site this morning for 7:30. I got on site at 7. Place is all locked up. Young lad turns up at 7:10, and another guy turns up at 7:15. Told them what I was there for. They said no problem, let me just move the van on the forecourt and the van that's in our warehouse, and we will get you sorted. So they moved the 2 vans. I backed on to the warehouse, and the guy said to me, there's normally 4 of us here to load you. He said, but 2 are on holiday, I've got to go, so the young lad's going to help you. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm not adverse to helping, I'm not adverse to mucking in, but marble kitchen tabletops are not my favourite thing to start handling at my time of life. Anyway, we got on and did it. There was about 20 of them. I was done and off site. He was really good, the lad. He did the bulk of it, to be fair, and I helped lift him where I could. I've got to be honest, when I pulled off site at 7:45, I was a bit out of breath, a bit knackered, but anyway, it was done. Down to Witham for 8:15. 1 box and a door to collect that was all shrink wrapped, bubble wrapped. So that just went on top, and the box went in the van, and I was off site 8:20. When I got down to Brentwood, went to the normal place, which I had a feeling it was just going to be printed matter. I didn't know they've got another warehouse on the industrial unit, and that's where the units were for the kitchen worktops. And this is where the fun started. So I got there at 9:10. The first thing the guy said to me was, don't think there's any way these units are going to fit on your van. Anyway, we went to the correct warehouse, and there was 5 pallets sitting there. Now, at best, I'm only going to get 3 pallets on. And of course, the kitchen worktops could go over the top, but there was 5 pallets. So we had a problem. So I spoke to my shipper. He said he would speak to the customer. Meanwhile, the loading point was going to speak also to the customer. Cut a long story short, after about 15 minutes, it transpired what we're going to do. We're going to unpack all the pallets, the shrink wrapping. We're going to load the units individually. But we need to take all the kitchen worktops off first. To be fair, the 2 guys there, again, did 95% of that. So I'm not going to complain about that. The pallets were de-shrink wrapped, and they started to put the units on. So I just broke down on the M4, not good on a Friday, but there we go. Then it transpired that the stuff wasn't finished. They were still making some drawers. So we had to wait for that. They finally came out all shrink wrapped on a pallet, which meant that had to be unshrink wrapped and removed off the pallet. And it was tea break, so they went off to tea break for 20 minutes. Again, I've said this before, I'm not going to criticise if people have a tea break built into their day. They're entitled to have a tea break. Anyway, cut the long story short, finally all loaded, got off site at 11:20, 2 hours and 10 minutes on site. The shipper was aware all the way through. I kept them informed, and also I informed the delivery point, the contact at the delivery point, what was happening, and that I probably wouldn't be there till 2 o'clock. I finally got to Reading at 1:35. Took a little while. The two guys unloaded it all. I didn't touch, apart from a couple of tiny little things. They did it all, and I was off site at 2:20. Spoke to the shipper. He's a guy I work with regularly. He asked me what I wanted. I can't go off my terms and conditions really. First half hour is free, and then it's £30 an hour. So realistically, it was an hour and a half on site, £45, and he's accepted that. So the job goes up to 245. As for a second job, I didn't really think I was going to get anything. There was a couple of things. There was one from Newbury, half an hour or so away, that was for delivery to London E14 on Monday. I put a price on it of £150, which I think was decent, but I hadn't heard anything, and I'm not going to hang around because Newbury obviously is going away from Reading. A job came up which was perfect from Slough for 4:15, small van job, delivery to Colchester at 8:30 on Monday morning. Small van, 91 miles. I put £100 on it. I thought that was a good price. You're holding the goods all weekend. I have no idea what the goods are. It could be gold bullion, it could be a bag of nuts, I have no idea. Didn't get the job, and to be honest, that's sort of okay, that's me done. I'm not going to bother. It's going to take me 3 hours to get back to home. As you can see now, I'm just on the M4, about to get on the M25. There's a fire on the M25 at junction 25 going the other way, which no doubt will have an effect. So it's going to be a bit of a journey home, so I am done. 245, in theory, it's a good day's pay. It's just because it was a little bit of a ball ache, and it was a little bit, I wanted that second job, but it isn't meant to be. I've rabbited on, the longest one I've ever done, 17 minutes. I do apologise. Right, going to call it a day there. Back on Monday. Have a lovely weekend all. Take care. I'll see you then. Cheers, Paul.